Good morning. It is June 20th, 2025, and this is your morning briefing from Anchor Watch. Multiple Globemaster III aircraft have been moved into the theater of operation in the Middle East. The Globemaster III is a large logistic United States Air Force plane used to move heavy equipment and heavy artillery. They are being staged at Al Udeid Air Force Base in Qatar, which is the primary air base for staging and even attacks in the Middle East historically. This is significant because those type of assets are not moved unless something has been planned. So when you take that into account with a meeting that's supposed to be taking place today in Geneva with the United States, other European countries, and Iranian representatives, the hopes for an actual peaceful resolution are continuing to actually decline. No one thinks that there'll be a significant gain, but they think the effort is worth it on the diplomatic front. And the reason that people are not so hopeful about this meeting in Geneva going well is not just the movement of forces, but there are also various intelligence reports saying that if Fadal, the nuclear research facility in Iran, is targeted and hit by Israeli forces, that Iran will pivot from their public policy of pursuing nuclear energy for peace and blatantly say they will be looking to create a nuclear bomb. So it's the devil's dilemma here. If the actual nuclear facility is targeted, Iran is going to say the hell with it. Let's go ahead and make a bomb. And they'll say that publicly. How that shifts not only the mission, but the diplomatic dynamic, that remains to be seen. As far as the final call for who and when and if the United States will participate with Israel in these strikes, we now have a better idea of who's in the room. As far as Trump's inner circle making that decision. Outside of Donald Trump, it's also the vice president. It is also the White House chief of staff. It is also Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff. And it is also military members who have been brought in and out of the conversations. But once again, the Secretary of Defense and the Director of National Intelligence, they are not involved in the discussions when it comes to saying who's going to do what. Now, that report came from NBC News. It was first brought up by the New York Times. So these are credible sources on who has the president's ear. And then finally, domestically, we're looking at a situation where an appeals court upheld President Trump's federalization of the National Guard in California. This is significant because it is yet another step that will legitimize the National Guard being called into a domestic law enforcement role over the objections of the actual governor, of whom the National Guard in each state is the commander of. This could have the policy effect of Trump now using the National Guard as primary law enforcement, depending on what he thinks or what he sees. It's a kind of a slippery slope. I expect this to be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court eventually. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide.